This is Karen with My I'm Possible Dream, and we are sitting in the new studio, which happens to be my dining room. And love being here. It's nice and comfortable. And I have Nick with me from No Static Radio. Now, that probably seems a little bit weird that I'm doing a podcast with somebody from an internet radio station. But, we all have to work together, and internet radio is growing. So, Nick, first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
And why are you in internet radio? I mean, what's the big deal about internet radio?
Well, it's one of those things where you look at what's already there and you can try and compete with the gargantuans, or you can just take the road less traveled. And, the first thing I thought of was most people get rid of cable and satellite now because they use Netflix or Hulu, which are internet-based.
Right.
They listen to Pandora Radio, iHeartRadio, and I said, everything is going internet. And even the terrestrial radio is now making an app and broadcasting over the internet. You open your listening base to the entire world as opposed to, just maybe your local time zone. And I said, why not try to be one of the first to do something as opposed to kind of just following the way that everybody else went. So, it's been 2.5 years now, and, we're steadily climbing and exceeding the humble expectations we set for ourselves. But, I think the internet's the way of the future.
So, it's you and who else?
It's me and my two partners, Jason Snyder and Steve Parsons. And, we all consider ourselves partners. I mean, there's some things that I do more so than them, some things that they do more so than me, but at the end of the day, it's just we have a workload, we divvy it up. We're all basically utility infielders doing whatever it is that we can do, and there's a lot of good help along the way that we'll find.
So when you started this, did you already have show hosts, or were you hosting shows? What was going on?
So we had all interned with a station called Cleveland Sports Fan Radio. All of us met at Ohio Center for Broadcasting. And they had a good thing going. We were an outside observer. A couple things that we noticed that we might have done different. One day, all of a sudden, we had the opportunity to kind of take over that station and do things our way. And none of us had actually, one of our partners actually did have a lined up position with Channel 19. He's still there, just got a promotion to full time. But none of us were offered a morning drive prime time slot. So we said,
I don't know why not.
They're giving those away. We said, hey, why not try this? It was low, buy low, sell high kind of thing. It was low cost, so we did have a healthy base of shows. We were actually able to convert, I would say, 85% of those shows. Most of them are actually still with us. Now, we did add a few shows, more than a handful of shows along the way, and continue to do so. And I guess I would attribute that to just kind of opening up what our station is. We changed the name from Cleveland Sports Fan Radio to No Static Radio. It's no specific genre. It's an art. If you have a good product and people want to listen, we want you to be part of our station.
That is interesting. So give me an idea of what other shows you have on the station.
So I would say probably a good 40% or so of our shows are still sports, and I mean typical sports: baseball, football, basketball. We have 2 drag racing shows, so a little bit more on the fringe of what someone would consider sports talk. We have 2 WWE professional wrestling shows. We have a couple of different shows who are unsigned artists. We have a couple hip hop shows. Couple entertainment personality driven shows. We actually just added our first spiritual show. It's a Christian show, and we actually are in talks with another show to bring them aboard as well. So while I do think it's important to have a definition and reach out to a demographic to target for your show, I don't necessarily think a station has to do that. And we're very big on cross-selling one audience to the other. And just camaraderie, everyone help everyone out.
Well, I totally agree with you, because if you have a variety of different programming, I might want to listen to a spiritual show. but I might know that you have a sports show, and I know my son loves sports, so I'm going to tell him, hey, listen to their sports show.
Yeah.
And I'm going to listen to the spiritual show when it's on.
Sure.
So I think that's really a good idea, because otherwise I'm listening to a radio station, he's listening to another radio station, and usually I don't even know what we don't know what those radio stations are.
Well, let's say you want to go pick up a carton of milk. They don't put the milk right by the front door. You have to go all the way through the store to get the milk. So I look at it like, give us a shot, listen to one or two of our shows, and maybe you hear a promotion for one of the other shows, and you're like, that's interesting, maybe I'll give them a listen too. I mean, the thing is I think people want choice and selection. They don't want to just turn on the TV and there's 3 channels and that's what you're watching. I mean, you've seen the advancements made with the DVR and now with internet radio, so I like the idea of giving selection.
Absolutely. So one of the things you did say in the beginning is that obviously anyone in the world can be listening to internet radio. And that's why I happen to like internet radio, and I happen to like doing a podcast, because I have friends and relatives all around the world.
Yeah.
And this way they get to hear your message. They get to hear other messages as well. Do you have any idea where some of your listeners are coming from?
Yeah, I mean, I without the like an actual list, I would love to be able to rattle off, but I mean, we have a regular caller from Alabama, so still, in the country, but we have had callers from other countries, Canada, Mexico. A lot. We seasonally have a semi-professional soccer show, and we'll get a lot of listeners from all over the world, because soccer's, I believe, the most popular sport in the world. Maybe not so here.
Well, maybe after the women's soccer team winning.
There you go. Yeah. So, and the other thing is, so you mentioned having relatives, around the country that want to listen. And I think one of the great things that radio offers a viewer or a listener that TV doesn't is you really feel like you start to know somebody. Like, you listen to somebody on the radio and you're like, I'd probably be friends with this person. If I met this person, we think very similarly. Whereas, if it's just stare at a TV and read off a teleprompter, you don't know anything about that person. And I think that's one of the cool things about radio. And I think that's, you could have somebody in, Europe listening to you, and they're identifying with you. I think that's, that's cool.
Absolutely. And it used to be that locally your radio shows, they were local.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them today are not local.
Right.
Okay, they're being fed from some other place, and so they don't feel local.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do internet radio or podcasting, even though I may be sitting here in Cleveland and somebody in London may be listening to me, it still feels like a local broadcast because of the way that we interact with our guests.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing that I do like about the internet radio, because I guess we're not as formal. I guess that would be the way that I would put it.
Yeah, and I also like that when we were trying to come up with a name, we were thinking, okay, well, we're internet, we're not AM, FM. And the first thing people are going to ask you, what's your station? They're expecting you to say an AM or an FM. We're like, well, how can we answer that question? Or what can we do to kind of, get right out in front of it? And we said, well, we're not going to have any, static. And all of a sudden I just said, no static radio. And I mean, I've gotten compliments on the name, but that was one of the easiest things to the station, was coming up with the name. And that's, I think, there are a lot of advantages to internet radio, and it's only been, in the works for, I guess Sirius XM, but it's still new.
Right.
As in comparison to AM radio.
So, some of your hosts that you have, I'm sure most of them have full-time jobs. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about like one of your sports hosts. Sure. You don't have to give me any names at this point. I'm going to be interviewing them all fairly shortly. Do they work in their field, or do they work in various fields? Yeah,
so there's a gal on our Monday night show, Cover 3. Her name's Rachel Hill. She goes by the First Lady of Sports. And she's actually has really ridden the roller coaster of being in the media. She was a post-game interviewer for the Cleveland Cavaliers, so she was in the locker rooms, LeBron's first time around. She's actually possibly moving to Los Angeles to kind of continue pursuing her dream. She actually has shown me some really good demo material where she was on Sports Time Ohio substituting in for Bruce Jenner. So yeah, I mean, I would say that the one of the things that No Static Radio is, you don't have to be the professional to come and pick up the microphone and do the radio. Some people will take it. Some people are using it to find their craft, and this is what they want to do. Other people, the way someone might go bowling one night a week or golfing one day a week, these people are doing radio. So we get a very wide range. There's not a specific type of dedication in terms of making it your full-time job that we demand. Just a dedication to make it the best show that you can make it.
And how do you get sponsors?
Social media is the biggest one. We don't have the capital to throw around at billboards and TV commercials, and so it is a lot of self-promotion, word of mouth. But I mean, social media, and specifically Twitter, just the ability just to get a notification on your phone that someone's show is live and just click one button, retweet, and now that person's 1,000 followers just saw, or my 600 followers, just the way that kind of works. You're able to instantly, quickly just resend out the message. And you're think about it, you're seeing even the Bud Lights or Anheuser-Busch's, all the gigantic companies that have all the money in the world, they're using social media as well. So it's one of the stages that we can both kind of stand on and try to fight our way up to the front.
So if somebody wanted to sponsor a show, they would just give you a call and tell you that, hey, that show is a great show and we want to put our money on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do everything in my power to make my contact information, to throw it out there. So it's all over the website, nostaticradio.com. We have a running ad that's personalized by me, just explaining, how are you advertising? Are you using the internet to advertise? And in today's day and age, I think, especially with the money that people will spend on advertising, we set up basically a brochure of different options for the potential sponsors.
Sure.
And it's always, a creative, two minds coming together.
Sure.
Most of our sponsors are paying, regular money. We actually have a couple sponsors that are more cross promotions. We have one sponsor who actually gave us a line of credit at their shop, their store. But yeah, you contact me. I go over what it is that we have. We have maybe a sit-down meeting, and you just decide what's right for you. We don't ask for any type of long-term obligation. Every sponsor we've had has re-upped with us, so they're seeing the value there. And you have the advantages of we're still a mom and pop shop right now, so we really are treating everyone as if they're our only customer.
Well, and in this day and age, we need to support mom and pop. Mm-hmm. We've seen what's happened with big business.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting down the big radio stations and the big TV stations, but some of our big name broadcasters are no longer around.
Right.
And this is an opportunity for us to grow. It's an opportunity for you to follow your dream. Mm-hmm. So, talking about dreams, has this always been a dream of yours?
It hasn't, actually. When I was a little kid, I wanted to be a professional baseball player. So I was always very much attached to sports. But no, I was doing in-home sales for a retail store, and I was in my car a lot driving around, so I was listening to sports talk radio. I was listening to just personality radio. I'm a big music buff too, so you listen to, and it just kind of dawned on me that, hey, there's this school called Ohio Center for Broadcasting, and the company I was with did partial tuition reimbursement, and it just I was able to fit it into my schedule. It made too much sense not to go do it. And I like learning. I figured it'd be interesting to learn the industry. And then everyone comes out of there. Sometimes people have a lined up position, but everyone comes out of there not exactly which direction they want to go. And I like to, cliche, but walk to the beat of my own drum. And we figured we had an opportunity that kind of was in front of us. It's not necessarily what we were looking for. I always assumed I would be the person on the microphone. And what I found out was I kind of like doing more of the day-to-day management duties and kind of figuring out ways to upgrade the product that we offer. So no, it wasn't always a dream. I started really considering radio about 4 years ago, maybe 4.5 years ago or so, and it's become a dream.
So the dream was to play baseball. So why didn't you play baseball?
I did play baseball.
Oh, okay.
Fortunately, to make $5 million a year, you have to have a little bit more talent than what I was able to give. But yeah.
Well, at least you played baseball.
Yeah, I played in high school. Yeah.
So, when we talk about dreams, so many of us, we sit around and we dream and we feel sorry for ourselves because we just never see ourselves getting there. It was a dream of mine when I was in high school. I wanted to get into broadcasting. And when I went to college, I told my parents I was going into communications, and they told me, no way, you're going to get a teaching degree. And they didn't know that I had enrolled into a broadcasting program at Eastern Michigan. When they found out, I was 2 years into it, and I left with my associate's degree because they said they would pay no more. And nobody wanted to believe that I could do anything in broadcasting. Right. About 6 years ago, I decided that it was about time for me to complete my degree and go on for my master's, and had a lot of support from Alex and his dad, and got my degree in communications. Never thought that I'd be sitting on this side of the microphone. But you can do it if you want to.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be making buku bucks.
Right.
Although it certainly would be nice if somebody wanted to hire me for the buku bucks. But it's about following dreams, making things happen. And that's what I liked when I met you the first time. And you talked to me about how you and your partners, you're working full-time jobs. You mentioned that you're engaged, you're getting married, and you're putting together a house, and yet you're following a path, a dream, a passion. How do you fit this all in?
I wish I could give you the answer. I don't think I've quite figured that out yet. But just because you punch your clock or you do whatever you do from 8 to 5, when you punch out, that's more time. I mean, everyone likes to kind of just kick off the shoes and kick back and watch TV and whatnot. But I just kind of look at people maybe a little bit wiser than me. I always like to just kind of sit with someone and just kind of hear their views on life and looking back and things like that. And I figure about 5 years ago I was 25, and I used to make the joke I'm having a quarter life crisis because how many people can honestly sit there and say what they're doing is what they're here to do? Sure. I would venture to say probably 98% or higher are not doing what they think they really should be doing. You don't have to be, the Tiger Woods of golf or the old Tiger Woods of golf. You don't have to be the best at it. You don't have to even be at a professional level of it. But there's no reason you can't still do it, pursue it as a hobby. Like you said, yeah, sure. The Yellow Brick Road has us becoming one of the biggest stations in the world, and that is the day job. But even if it's not, I have a lot of peace of mind and closure that I am doing what I want to do, and I am a little shy to talk about it with the stranger. I don't like to go up because it's one of those things where I don't want more praise than I feel I deserve right now. We're still very modest in where we're at. And as we continue to kind of climb and scratch at where we want to go, maybe then it's maybe I'll open up more about it. But there's no shame in kind of just putting yourself out there and trying to do radio or trying to be an actor or whatever you want to do. I mean, at the end of the day, you're really, I think people are in their own head too much, and I think you don't want to look back and say, I should have done that.
Exactly, exactly. Because when you do that, then you've got nothing. It's better to, and I don't like to use the word fail, but I'm going to use the word fail. It's better to fail at trying to do something than sitting around dreaming and never getting there.
Right. I'm not in the major leagues, but, I played baseball as long as I could play organized baseball. And I think at the end of the day, if you can honestly, cliche, but look yourself in the mirror and say, I took a really, really good shot at it. It didn't work. I feel comfortable out moving on and trying something else.
That's the best way to live. So I'm going to get a little personal here. Tell me a little bit about the girlfriend, the fiance. When are you guys getting married?
June 11th, 2016. Her favorite number is 11, so that was important.
So that's why June 11th.
Yeah,
okay.
That worked out. We got engaged on December 2nd, and figure it seems like the average engagement stage is about a year. We didn't want to do a winter wedding, so we're thinking, all right, do we rush it and try to get married, in 6-7 months, or do we just take our time? And I think we decided, let's just take our time. This is a fun part, and let's kind of take our time and really kind of seek out what it is that we're looking for. But I met her at the same retail store that I worked at. I had since moved on to another kind of a career change, and she actually just got a teaching job.
Oh, terrific!
So she'll start teaching this upcoming year. She went and looked at her classroom. We have a dog named Phil. It's just us three right now, but yeah, she's a great girl. I mean, obviously, I do kind of juggle a lot of things. I probably, well, she would probably shake her head. You do. It can be, it's a lot of stress. You get home and I'm a new homeowner, so now I'm cutting the grass, learning to do repair work. And, again, you hear people say, oh man, once kids come, time really runs out. But it's just a commitment that I've made that, one way or another, I'm going to pay my mortgage, I'm going to do radio, I'm going to take care of the house. And, if it means less time for me to what is essentially wasting time, then I'll have less of that time.
You've got a great outlook on life. Today, I was going to another podcast, and as I was driving, my brain was churning, and I was realizing that next week my husband and I will be celebrating 31 years of marriage. And I was thinking about the fact that some people would say to me, you and your husband don't do a lot of things for fun. And we might not in their eyes. But the fact that we work together, that we spend, even if it's 5-10 minutes an evening together, we talk to each other on the phone. Those are important times for us. And so I want people to understand that you can be working, you can be doing all these things, but if they're fulfilling to you and fulfilling to your mate,
right,
whatever time you're spending together, you just make it special.
Yeah, and the word partnership kind of takes some of the love and the passion out of it, but that person really is like your partner. Like, hey, I don't have time to make dinner tonight, can you pick up some carry out? Or hey, can you let the dog out? Or can you really have to rely on that person a ton. And you have to be flexible, and I think it's important to encourage each other to do, what it is that they want to do.
Exactly.
Jenna and I are not the couple that nobody wants to be around because we can't keep our hands off of each other. I'll hang out with the guys, she'll hang out with the girls, we'll hang out in the big group. We do a lot, and we play off each other very well that way. We obviously love our alone time together, but we're at a point in our lives where there's not as much of that as we would like. But we're in it for the rest of our lives, so we know that time, we'll kind of be here more often at some time. Sometimes it's going to be here more often,
right?
Sometimes than not, but just making sure that you do stop and look around and kind of enjoy things.
Well, that's what dreams are about. and you surely are creating a dream. I have to thank you for meeting my son.
Yeah.
I know Alex has been coming down to the station and sharing some time on one of your sports shows.
Yeah, Triple Threat.
Triple Threat.
Triple Threat CLE. Friday nights from 9 to 11.
And he'll be on again tomorrow night from 9 to 11. And he's all excited about that. He loves going down there.
Well, and he had a very professional approach too. You could just read it in the email. He was coming from another station, and he wanted to kind of gain some information from me about what we're doing, and probably similar to when I was interning at the before it was No Static Radio. You just as an outside observer, as not part of the inside, you kind of just sometimes it gives you an interesting insight into things that you think that they could be doing differently or better. And I think that's kind of where we're a group of people at the station, all from different walks of life, not necessarily the kind of people that are going to hang out on the weekends, and but we're all together for the same purpose, and there's a lot of camaraderie just for someone to take their phone and retweet something about somebody else's show.
That is terrific. Well, I look forward to working with No Static Radio. Want to meet your partners.
Mm-hmm.
I want to meet the rest of all the co-hosts.
Yeah.
And let's talk dreams and say hi to Jen for me.
I will. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.